Nor did she mend the matter as she proceeded.
"I am sure you are well born, Alizon," she said, "and so it will be found in the end. And Richard thinks so too, for he has said so to me, and Richard is my oracle, Alizon." In spite of herself, Alizon's eyes sparkled with pleasure, but she speedily checked the emotion. "I must not indulge the dream," she said, with a sigh. "Why not?" cried Dorothy. "I will have strict inquiries made as to your history." "I cannot consent to it," replied Alizon. "I cannot leave one who, if she be not my parent, has stood to me in that relation. Neither can I have her brought into trouble on my account. What will she think of me if she learns I have indulged such a notion? She will say, and with truth, that I am the most ungrateful of human beings, as well as the most unnatural of children. No, dear young lady, it must not be. These fancies are brilliant, but fallacious, and, like bubbles, burst as soon as formed." "I admire your sentiments, though I do not admit the justice of your reasoning," rejoined Dorothy. "It is not on your own account merely, though that is much, that the secret of your birth, if there be one, ought to be cleared up, but for the sake of those with whom you are connected. There may be a mother like mine weeping for you as lost, a brother like Richard mourning you as dead. Think of the sad hearts your restoration will make joyful. As to Elizabeth Device, no consideration should be shown her. If she has stolen you from your parents, as I suspect, she deserves no pity." "All this is mere surmise, dear young lady," replied Alizon. At this juncture they were startled by seeing an old woman come from behind the monument, and plant herself before them. Both uttered a cry, and would have fled, but a gesture from the crone detained them. Very old was she, and of strange and sinister aspect, almost blind, bent double, with frosted brows and chin, and shaking with palsy.
"Stay where you are," cried the hag, in an imperious tone. "I want to speak to you. Come nearer to me, my pretty weans. Nearer, nearer."
And as they complied, drawn towards her by an impulse they could not resist, the old woman caught hold of Alizon's arm, and said, with a chuckle
"So you are the wench they call Alizon Device, eh?"
"Ay," replied Alizon, trembling like a dove in the talons of a hawk.
"Do you know who I am?"
cried the hag, grasping her yet more tightly.
"Do you know who I am, I say? If not, I'll tell you. I'm Mother Chattox of Pendle Forest, the rival of Mother Demdike, and the enemy of all her accursed brood. Now do you know me, wench? Men call me witch. Whether I am or not, I have some power, as they and you shall find. Mother Demdike has often defied me, often injured me, but I will have my revenge on her. Ay."
"Let me go," cried Alizon, greatly terrified. "I will run and bring assistance," cried Dorothy, and she flew to the door, but it resisted her attempts to open it.
"Come back,"
screamed the hag.
"You strive in vain. The door is fast shut, fast shut. Come back, I say. Who are you?"
she added, as the maid drew near, ready to sink with terror.
"Your voice is an Assheton's voice. I know you now. You're Dorothy Assheton. Where skin blue-eyed Dorothy. Listen to me, Dorothy. I owe your family a grudge, and if you provoke me, I'll pay it off in part on you. Stir not, as you value your life."
The poor girl did not dare to move, and Alizon remained as if fascinated by the terrible old woman.
"I'll tell you what has happened, Dorothy. I came here to Whalley on business of my own, meddling with no one, harming no one. Tread upon the adder and it'll bite, and when molested I bite like the adder. Your cousin, Nick Assheton, came in my way, called me witch, and menaced me. I cursed him, ay. And then your brother Richard—"
"What of him, in Heaven's name?" almost shrieked Alizon.
"How's this?"
exclaimed Mother Chattox, placing her hand on the beating heart of the girl. "What of Richard Assheton?" repeated Alizon.
You love him. I feel you do, wench,"
cried the old crone, with fierce exultation. "Release me, wicked woman!" cried Alizon.
"Wicked am I? Ha!
Rejoined Mother Chattox, chuckling maliciously.
Because, forsooth, I read thy heart, and betray its secrets. Wicked, eh? I'll tell thee, wench, again. Richard Assheton is lord and master here. Every pulse in thy bosom beats for him alone. But beware of his love. Beware it, I say. It shall bring thee ruin and despair."
"For pity's sake, release me!" implored Alizon.
"Not yet,"
replied the inexorable old woman.
"not yet. My tale is not half told. My curse fell on Richard's head as it did on Nicholas's. And then the hellhounds thought to catch me, but they were at fault. I tricked them nicely. However, they took my Nance, my pretty Nance. They seized her, bound her, bore her to the Calder, and they swam her. Curses light on them all, but chief on him who did it."
"Who was he?" inquired Alizon, tremblingly.
"Jem Device," replied the old woman. "It was he who bound her, he who plunged her in the river, he who swam her. But I'll pinch and plague him for it. I'll strew his couch with nettles, and all wholesome food shall be poison to him. His blood shall be as water, and his flesh shrink from his bones. He shall waste away slowly, 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 till he drops like a skeleton into the grave ready digged for him. All connected with him shall feel my fury. I would kill thee now, if thou wert aught of his."
"Aught of his? What mean you, old woman?" demanded Alizon.
"Why, this,"
rejoined Mother Chattox.
"and let the knowledge work in thee to the confusion of Bess Device. Thou art not her daughter."
"It is as I thought," cried Dorothy Assheton, roused by the intelligence from her terror.
"I tell thee not this secret to pleasure thee," continued Mother Chattox, "but to confound Elizabeth Device. I have no other motive. She hath provoked my vengeance, and she shall fail it. Thou art not her child, I say. The secret of thy birth is known to me, but the time is not yet come for its disclosure. It shall out one day, to the confusion of them who offend me. When thou goest home, tell thy reputed mother what I have said, and mark how she takes information. Ha! Who comes here?"
The hag's last exclamation was occasioned by the sudden appearance of Mistress Nutter, who opened the door of the chapel, and, staring in astonishment at the group, came quickly forward. "What makes you here, Mother Chattox?" she cried.
"I came to abide pursuit,"
replied the old hag, with a cowed manner, and in accents sounding strangely submissive after her late infuriated tone. "What have you been saying to these girls?" demanded Mistress Nutter, authoritatively.
"Ask 'em,"
the hag replied. "She declares that Alizon is not the daughter of Elizabeth Device," cried Dorothy Assheton. "Indeed!" exclaimed Mistress Nutter, quickly, and as if a spring of extraordinary interest had been suddenly touched. "What reason hast thou for this assertion?"
"No good reason,"
replied the old woman, evasively, yet with evident apprehension of her questioner. "Good reason or bad, I will have it," cried Mistress Nutter.
"What! You take an interest in this wench like the rest?" returned Mother Chattox. "Is she so very winning?"
"That is no answer to my question," said the lady. "Whose child is she?"
"Ask Bess Device or Mother Demdike," replied Mother Chattox. "They know more about the matter than me."
"I will have thee speak, and to the purpose," cried the lady, angrily.
"Many a one who's lost a child would gladly have it back again,"
said the old hag, mysteriously. "Who has lost one?" asked Mistress Nutter.
Nay, it passeth me to tell.